Ladies and gentlemen, it is a curious thing, is it not, how our age is obsessed with the notion of healing oneself. We are told with persuasive conviction that we hold within us the keys to our restoration to wellness, to peace, to the wholeness we so desperately crave. Entire industries have risen on this premise, promising liberation from our inner turmoil. If only we would attend their seminars, read their books, chant their mantras, or adopt their techniques. On the surface, the appeal is undeniable. Who would not wish to be the captain of their own soul, the master of their own destiny? The idea that one can summon healing from within, independent of external aid or divine grace, flatters the ego and soothes the pride. But I must confess to you, as earnestly as one friend speaking to another, that this alluring proposition is, in its essence, a half-truth and often a dangerous one. Let us therefore examine this matter more deeply, not with the cynicism of one seeking to deride, but with the earnestness of one seeking clarity. For while there may be merit in the self-healing movement, there is also peril, and it is the peril that demands our attention. The allure of autonomy. The self-healing industry thrives on a central premise that the individual is sufficient unto themselves. It whispers seductively that you are your own savior, that all the answers lie within, waiting to be discovered. This notion, though intoxicating, is not new. It has ancient roots, stretching back to the earliest philosophical inquiries and religious deviations. The serpent in the garden offered a similar promise: you shall be as gods. At its core, this belief is born of our desire for autonomy. We wish to be free of dependence, whether on others or on the divine. Yet autonomy, taken to its extreme, is a heavy burden. To place the weight of one's healing entirely upon oneself is not empowerment, it is a form of enslavement. For when the inevitable failures come, and they do come, the self is left with no one to blame, no one to seek for solace but itself. The partial truth of inner resources. Now, let me be fair. It is true that we possess inner resources, strength, resilience, and the capacity for growth. The human spirit is remarkably adaptive and creative, capable of enduring immense suffering and emerging stronger for it. But these inner resources are not the whole story. To suggest that they are is to ignore a profound reality. We are not self-contained beings. Consider the analogy of a plant. A plant may have within itself the potential for growth, but it cannot thrive without sunlight, water, and soil. Likewise, we are creatures designed for relationship with each other, with the world around us, and, ultimately, with the Creator. To cut ourselves off from these relationships in the name of self-sufficiency is to wither rather than to flourish. The commodification of healing. Another troubling aspect of the self-healing industry is its tendency to commodify healing. What began as a sincere effort to help individuals has, in many cases, become a lucrative business. Workshops, retreats, and courses are marketed as the ultimate solution to one's woes, often at exorbitant prices. The promise is tantalizing: follow this method, and you will be healed. But healing, true healing, cannot be bought or sold. It is not a product to be consumed, but a process to be lived. And it is often a messy, unpredictable process, defying the neat formulas and guarantees that the industry so eagerly offers. To reduce it to a transaction is to cheapen its sacredness. The danger of solipsism. Perhaps the greatest danger of the self-healing movement is its implicit solipsism. By focusing so intensely on the self, it risks turning us inward to the exclusion of others. The language of personal growth and self-actualization can easily become a veneer for selfishness, a way of justifying the neglect of our responsibilities to others. Yet, paradoxically, it is often in serving others that we find the healing we seek. The act of reaching out, of giving rather than taking, has a transformative power that no amount of self-focused introspection can match. For we are, as I have said, relational beings, and it is in relationship that our wounds are both inflicted and healed. The role of grace. And here we come to the heart of the matter. For all its merits, the self-healing movement cannot account for one crucial element: grace. Grace is the unearned, undeserved favor that meets us in our brokenness and restores us to wholeness. It is not something we can manufacture or summon at will. It comes from beyond us as a gift. To speak of grace is to acknowledge our limitations, to admit that we are not sufficient unto ourselves. This admission is humbling, but it is also liberating, for it means that we are not alone in our struggle. There is help available, not only from within but from without, from the community of others and from the Creator who loves us. A balanced perspective. None of this is to say that we should reject the self-healing movement entirely. There is much within it that is good and true. Practices such as mindfulness, meditation, and journaling can be valuable tools for self-reflection and growth, but they must be kept in their proper place. They are means, not ends, aids, not answers. The danger lies in elevating them to the status of ultimate solutions. When we do so, we risk replacing one form of idolatry with another. Instead of worshipping material wealth or societal approval, we worship the self. And like all idols, the self is a poor god incapable of bearing the weight of our hopes and fears. The truth behind the self-healing industry is this: it offers a partial answer to a profound question. It recognizes rightly that we are wounded and in need of healing. But it errs in suggesting that we can heal ourselves entirely on our own. True healing requires humility, relationship, and grace. It requires us to look beyond ourselves, to acknowledge our dependence on others and on the divine. And it requires us to embrace the messy, unpredictable process of growth with all its setbacks and surprises. So let us approach the self-healing movement with discernment. Let us take what is good and leave what is harmful. And above all, let us remember that our ultimate hope lies not in ourselves, but in the one who made us, loves us, and desires our wholeness more deeply than we can imagine.